The Metropolitan Museum of Art had never looked more beautiful or more cruel. 500 of New York's elite filled
A
the Temple
wonderful
of
evening,
Denver,
isn't it?
their laughter
Absolutely, the
echoing
music
off
is
ancient
divine.
stone like
Indeed,
judgment
to a
rendered
lovely
in real
night.
time. Crystal chandeliers threw diamonds of light across marble floors. A string quartet played Vivaldi with the kind of precision that comes from decades of practice and generational wealth. The air smelled of champagne and expensive
Shall we?
perfume,
Of
and the
course.
particular brand of
This
confidence
is a
that only
beautiful
old money
event.
can buy.
It is.
I stood at the edge of it all, wearing a sapphire gown I'd borrowed from my best friend and shoes that were already killing my feet. 28 years old, a doctorate in philosophy I couldn't use, a father whose reputation died with him 10 years ago, leaving me with nothing but his books and his debts and his unshakable belief that truth mattered more than appearances. Dad would have hated this party, the waste, the performative charity, the way these people wore their wealth like armor and their kindness like costume jewelry taken off the moment they got home. But Dad wasn't here, and I was because some part of me still believed I could prove that his daughter belonged in rooms like this. That intelligence mattered as much as inheritance. That a woman who could read Kant in the original German deserved the same respect as a woman who could trace her bloodline back to the Mayflower. I was wrong. Across the reflecting pool past the carefully arranged orchids and the ice sculptures shaped like swans, Dashiell Beaumont stood on a raised platform. 6'1", blonde hair that cost $300 to cut every month. A smile that had once made me believe in second chances and new beginnings, and all the other lies we tell ourselves when we're lonely. He had his arm around Vivian Vanderbilt, Senator's daughter, trust fund baby, everything I had never been and could never become. The crowd pressed closer as Dashiell tapped his champagne glass with a silver knife. The Vivaldi stopped mid-measure. 500 faces turned upward like flowers seeking sun. Friends, Dashiell said, and his voice carried that particular blend of warmth and authority that men like him are born knowing how to use. Thank you for being here tonight, for supporting the Children's Arts Foundation, for celebrating with us. He pulled Vivian closer. She giggled, actually giggled like a woman who had never once been told she was too smart, too serious, too much. 3 months ago, Dashiell continued, I made the biggest mistake of my life. My chest tightened. He wouldn't. Not here. Not in front of everyone. I was engaged to the wrong woman. He would. Someone who valued books more than people, ideas more than connections. Someone who thought being right was more important than being kind. The crowd murmured. I felt their eyes sliding toward me, then quickly away. Polite people don't stare at car crashes. They just slow down enough to get a good look. But Vivian showed me what partnership really means. What it means to have someone who lifts you up instead of lecturing you, who laughs instead of arguing, who understands that some women are meant to be wives and others. He paused, found me in the crowd, smiled. Others are better suited to libraries. The laughter started small, a chuckle from the back, a snicker from the left. Then it grew, feeding on itself, 500 people united in the shared understanding that I was the punchline and they were in on the joke. My hands started shaking. The room tilted. My vision narrowed to a tunnel. I needed air. I needed escape. I turned blindly toward the exit and saw him. He stood alone near one of the museum's massive stone columns, as still as the ancient Egyptian statues in the rooms beyond. Tall, 6'3" at least, with broad shoulders that filled out his Tom Ford tuxedo. His hair was silver, not gray, the kind of silver that comes early and makes you look distinguished instead of old. His eyes were dark, not brown, not black, something in between. The kind of eyes that had seen things most people spend their whole lives avoiding. Those eyes stopped on me. Augustus Hartford, the Silver Duke, former federal judge, retired at 38 after his wife died. Now he did something no one could quite define. Consultant, investigator. The man who had dismantled 3 Fortune 500 companies for fraud. People feared him, respected him, whispered about him at parties like this one. He'd been standing in that same spot for 20 minutes. I'd noticed him earlier before the announcement. Behind me, Dashiell was still talking. The crowd was still laughing. Something reckless took hold of me. The same impulse that made my father publish his theories even when everyone said he was wrong. I crossed the marble floor. 40 feet that felt like 40 miles. I stopped 2 feet in front of Augustus Hartford. Up close, he was even more intimidating. A scar ran along his jawline. His hands were calloused. Strange for a man who worked with law. I forced myself to meet his eyes. Will you dance with me? I said. My voice came out steady, clear. My ex is watching. 5 seconds of silence. Then his lips curved. Not a smile. Something more dangerous. It would be unwise, he said slowly, to refuse a lady in distress. He extended his hand. I took it. The moment our hands touched, the room changed. The laughter stopped. The conversations died. 500 people turned to stare, and Augustus led me to the center of the floor. The crowd parted for him like the Red Sea. The quartet shifted into a Viennese waltz. Blue Danube. Augustus placed his hand on my waist, firm but not possessive. We began to move. He danced with absolute precision. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. When I stumbled, his grip tightened just enough to steady me. We swept past Dashiell. I caught a glimpse of his face. Shock, confusion, fear. And Augustus spun me in a turn that made my dress flare. The crowd gasped. When he pulled me back in, I was closer than before. Close enough to smell bergamot and something darker. Gunpowder, maybe. You're trembling, he observed. I didn't expect you to say yes. And yet you asked. Another turn. He was showing off now. I was desperate, I said. Desperation, Augustus replied, makes people do interesting things. The music swelled. He executed a dip so deep my hair nearly touched the floor. The ballroom erupted in scandalized whispers. When I came back to center, his face was inches from mine. Who are you? I whispered. You don't know. I know what they say about you. That you're ruthless. That you destroyed the Patterson firm for fraud. That your heart is as cold as the upstate winters. His dark eyes studied me. Do you believe what they say? I believe rumors are built on fragments of truth, twisted to serve whoever's speaking. He smiled then, small, genuine. You're sharper than your circumstances suggest, Miss Ashford. The use of my name shocked me. He'd researched me, known who I was, known I would be here. The music stopped. In the silence that followed, Augustus held me suspended, his hand in mine, his arm around my waist. Thank you for the dance, he said, loud enough that people nearby could hear. I trust we'll be seeing much more of each other. He released me, bowed, lifted my hand, and pressed a kiss to my knuckles. Then he turned and walked away. Left me standing alone in the center of the Metropolitan Museum, the object of every eye, every whisper. Across the room, Dashiell Beaumont looked like he'd swallowed glass. I didn't sleep. At 6 a.m., my phone started buzzing. Text messages, dozens of them. Did you see the news? Check page 6? Oh my God, Viev, you're famous. I pulled up page 6 on my phone. The headline was in all caps. Mystery woman snares the Silver Duke, below it a photo of us mid-waltz. Augustus's hand on my waist, my face turned up toward his. The article was worse. Augustus Hartford, 42. Manhattan's most elusive bachelor made a rare public appearance last night at the Children's Arts Foundation Gala. But the real story wasn't his attendance. It was his dance partner. Sources identify the woman as Genevieve Ashford, 28, daughter of the late Professor Harrison Ashford, whose academic career ended in disgrace following plagiarism allegations. Miss Ashford, who holds a doctorate in philosophy but currently works as a freelance researcher, was recently jilted by hedge fund manager Dashiell Beaumont. Witnesses say Hartford, who hasn't been seen with a woman since his wife's death 5 years ago, specifically sought out Miss Ashford. She's clearly after his money, says a source close to the Beaumont family. Augustus Hartford is worth over $2 billion. A woman in Genevieve Ashford's position would do anything to secure that kind of future. I put the phone down. $2 billion. The apartment was too small, too quiet. The walls pressed in. I walked to my father's bookshelf, pulled out his copy of Mary Wollstonecraft's Vindication of the Rights of Woman. The margins were filled with his handwriting. I opened to a random page, found one of his notes. The question isn't whether we have the courage to be right. It's whether we have the courage to be wrong in public and keep going anyway. Someone knocked on my door. 7 a.m. I looked through the peephole. Augustus Hartford stood in my hallway. Tom Ford suit, silver hair catching the fluorescent light, carrying a titanium briefcase. I looked down at myself. Pajamas, ratty Columbia t-shirt, no bra. He knocked again. Patient. I opened the door. Miss Ashford, he said, we need to talk. I should have slammed the door. Instead, I stepped aside. He walked into my apartment, took in everything in 3 seconds. The books, the secondhand furniture, all the markers of a life that had started with promise and ended up here. He set a coffee carrier on my counter, placed the briefcase beside it. I assume you've seen the papers, he said. Hard to miss them. And I assume you've received numerous calls from people suddenly interested in your well-being. I turned off my phone. Smart. He opened the briefcase, pulled out a tablet, turned it to face me. The screen showed a surveillance photo. Dashiell Beaumont, meeting with two men in an underground parking garage. The timestamp said 11:30 last night. Do you know who these men are? Augustus asked. I shook my head. Private investigators. Dashiell hired them to investigate you, to find evidence that you're running some kind of con. He swiped to the next image, Dashiell handing over a manila envelope. How do you know what they discussed? I have someone on Beaumont's security detail. He said it like it was the most normal thing in the world. Why are you telling me this? Augustus closed the tablet, looked at me with those dark eyes. Because I'm about to make you an offer, and I need you to understand exactly what you're agreeing to before you say yes. We sat. He maintained exactly 2 feet of distance. He handed me one of the coffee cups, black. How did he know that's how I took it 3 months ago? Augustus began. Your ex-fiancé didn't just leave you. He orchestrated a character assassination. He did this because his father, Senator Beaumont, needed a distraction. The Senate Ethics Committee was getting too close to certain financial irregularities. I stared at him. You're saying he used me. I'm saying he destroyed you strategically, and he'll keep destroying you as long as you remain vulnerable. And what does this have to do with you? Augustus took a sip of coffee. For the past 18 months, I've been building a case against the Beaumont family. They're money launderers for a criminal network I've been tracking for 5 years. The same network that killed my wife. The way he said it, so flat. Like he'd said it so many times the words had stopped meaning anything. They killed Marguerite because she discovered evidence of their activities. Ran our car off I-87 in what the police called an accident. She died. I survived. I've spent every day since gathering proof. He turned to face me fully. Last night when you asked me to dance, you gave me something I've been trying to engineer for months. A credible entry point. The Beaumonts are terrified, making mistakes, exposing connections. He pulled out a document, slid it across to me. I'm proposing a partnership. You and I will publicly pursue a relationship. Dating. Engagement eventually. We'll attend events together, give the tabloids what they want. I picked up the document. It was a contract. In exchange, I'll use my resources to clear your father's name. I have evidence that proves the plagiarism charges were fabricated. I can give you that vindication. My hands shook. You're asking me to fake a relationship for 6 months so you can investigate my ex-boyfriend's family. I'm asking you to be my partner in bringing down the people who ruined both our lives. Yes, the relationship will be staged, but the outcome will be real. Justice for your father. Safety for you. I looked at the contract, looked at the photos on my wall. My father receiving his doctorate. My father teaching. My father smiling before everything fell apart. What if I say no? Then Dashiell's investigators will find what they're looking for. They'll fabricate evidence if they have to. By next month, you'll be unemployable. You'll have to leave New York. And if I say yes, then you move into my estate upstate. You attend events with me. You let me protect you while we both destroy the people who think they're untouchable. He leaned forward. I'm offering you a weapon, Genevieve. Whether you use it is entirely up to you. I read the contract. All 15 pages, 6 months minimum. Public appearances, separate bedrooms, $2 million in escrow. Everything spelled out precisely. At the bottom, a signature line. One condition, I said, name it. We don't just coexist. If we're doing this, we do it honestly. No lies between us. Something shifted in his expression, surprise or respect. Deal, he said. He pulled out a pen. Mont Blanc, the kind people use to sign treaties. I took it, signed my name. Genevieve Ashford. Augustus stood, extended his hand. Pack what you need. We leave in 2 hours. The drive north took 2 hours. We left Brooklyn in a black Mercedes SUV. Augustus sat beside me in the back seat reading on his tablet. He gave me space, hadn't tried to make conversation. My entire life fit into 2 suitcases and a backpack. Clothes, books, my father's research notes. The Hudson River appeared through the trees. Gray water under gray sky. We're close, Augustus said. First words in an hour. The SUV turned onto a private road. No sign, no gate. The road wound through forest that got thicker with every mile. Then the trees opened up. Hartford Estate sat on a hilltop overlooking the Hudson like a fortress pretending to be a home. Modern architecture wrapped in traditional stone. It should have looked wrong. Instead, it looked exactly like the man who built it. The main house was massive, 3 stories, wings extending east and west. Stone walls 12 feet high surrounding the property. Security cameras every 20 yards. This wasn't a home. This was a compound. The SUV stopped at the entrance. Staff waited inside. 15 people in a precise line. A woman stepped forward. Japanese. Early 60s. Elegant. Miss Ashford, she said, bowing slightly. I'm Mrs. Tanaka, head of household. Mr. Hartford has asked me to make you comfortable. Her handshake was firm. Her eyes were assessing. These are your staff, Augustus said. Mrs. Tanaka manages the household. David Park handles security and IT doctor. Williams is on call if you need medical attention. David Park stepped forward, Korean-American, late 20s. He wore jeans and a hoodie under a tactical vest. Miss Ashford, I'll need your phone and any other devices. I handed him my phone. He took it like it was contaminated. We'll scrub it, remove any tracking software, install encryption, should be back to you in 48 hours. Tracking software. Dashiell's people are good, not as good as me, but good enough to be dangerous. Mrs. Tanaka smiled. If you'll follow me, I'll show you to your quarters. My quarters turned out to be an entire wing, 2,000 square feet, bedroom with a California king and windows overlooking the Hudson, sitting room with fireplace, bathroom bigger than my apartment, walk-in closet filled with designer clothes in my exact size. Mr. Hartford had these sent over, Mrs. Tanaka said. If anything doesn't fit, let me know. I touched one of the dresses. Silk. Designer. How did he know my size? Mrs. Tanaka's smile was diplomatic. Mr. Hartford is very thorough. The sitting room had floor-to-ceiling bookshelves, already filled. Philosophy, Kant, Hegel, Wollstonecraft, Mill, first editions, and there on the center shelf a copy of my father's dissertation. I pulled it out. Someone had written a note in the margin. Augustus's handwriting. Your father was right about almost everything. That's why they had to destroy him. Something in my chest cracked. The library connects to Mr. Hartford's quarters, Mrs. Tanaka said. She pointed to a door on the far wall. Mahogany. That door is always unlocked. Mr. Hartford believes intellectual space should be shared, but his bedroom is beyond the library. That door will remain locked unless you are invited. Translation. You have access to his mind, not his heart. Dinner is at 8. Mr. Hartford requests your presence. Formal dress. Then she left me alone in 2,000 square feet of luxury that felt like a very expensive cage. I found the library at 7:45. The connecting door opened into a circular room 3 stories tall. Spiral staircase winding through the center. Thousands of books covering every wall. Augustus sat at the center desk. He'd changed into dark slacks and a white shirt with rolled sleeves. Reading glasses perched on his nose. He looked up when I entered. Genevieve. No Miss Ashford anymore. This is incredible, I said. My grandfather's collection. He believed law without philosophy was just violence with paperwork. Smart man. He died when I was 12. Left me everything. The books, the money, the belief that the world could be fixed if you just read enough. He took off his glasses, rubbed his eyes. He looked exhausted. I was wrong about something, he said. What? I told you this arrangement would be purely strategic. That we'd coexist, play our roles. He walked to a bookshelf, pulled out a volume. Mary Wollstonecraft, Vindication of the Rights of Woman. But I realized something during the drive. If we're going to convince anyone this is real, we need to actually know each other. Real knowledge. The kind that comes from conversation. He handed me the book. His fingers brushed mine. Warm, calloused. Dinner is going to be awkward. We're going to sit at opposite ends of a table built for 24 and make small talk like strangers. It's going to feel ridiculous. So why do it? Because Mrs. Tanaka will be watching. She's a romantic. She wants to believe I can be happy again. If she believes it, she'll sell it to the staff. That's how reputation works, from the inside out. But after dinner, come back here. Bring whatever you're reading. We'll sit, talk if we want to, or not. But we'll be honest. That was your condition. Okay, he checked his watch. 7 minutes. Shall we go be formal and ridiculous together? Dinner was exactly as awkward as predicted. The dining room could have hosted a state dinner. Augustus sat at the head. I sat at the opposite end, 12 feet between us. Mrs. Tanaka supervised while staff served 5 courses. The food was perfect. The conversation was painful. "How was your afternoon?" Augustus asked. "Fine, the room is lovely." "Yeah, I'm glad you're comfortable." Silence. Forks on china. After dessert, Augustus thanked the staff. They disappeared. "That was terrible," I said. "Spectacularly terrible." He extended his hand across the distance. I walked around the table. Took it. "Library," he said. "Library." The library at night was different. Someone had lit the fireplace. Warm lamps glowed. Augustus gestured to a reading chair near the fire. "That one's yours now." I sat. He took the chair across from me. 6 feet away, close enough to talk, far enough to maintain distance. He had a legal theory book. I had the Wollstonecraft. We read. For 20 minutes, neither of us spoke. Just the crackle of fire, the turn of pages. It should have been uncomfortable. Instead, it felt like the first honest thing we'd done since the contract. "Why Wollstonecraft?" Augustus asked. I looked up. He'd set his book aside. "My father, he taught 18th century philosophy. Wollstonecraft was his favorite. He said she understood that you can't have a just society if half the population is treated like children." Revolutionary stuff for 1792. Revolutionary stuff for 2024. Augustus smiled. "You sound like him." "You never met him." "No, but I've read his work, all of it. He was brilliant. The plagiarism charges were absurd. But nobody actually read the papers. They just saw the accusations and assumed guilt. Reputation, it's easier to destroy than build." He leaned forward. "Tell me about him, not the professor. The father." So I did. Sunday mornings, terrible pancakes while explaining Kant. Road trips debating ethics for hours. The way he'd look when he finally solved an argument. Pure joy. Then the end, the accusations, the investigation, his colleagues abandoning him. The heart attack the doctor said was natural, but that I knew was grief. Augustus listened, didn't interrupt. Just listened with the kind of attention that made every word matter. When I finished, he was quiet. "Marguerite was like that," he finally said. "She had that same passion, for music instead of philosophy. Played piano, concert level. Could have gone professional, but chose teaching." He looked at the fire. "We met at Juilliard. I was there for a friend's recital. She was performing Rachmaninoff. Made the piano sound like it was crying. After I went backstage. Told her she was extraordinary. She said I was full of shit, but she'd let me buy her coffee anyway. Love at first sight. Love at first argument. We fought about everything. She was wrong about most things, but she was interesting about being wrong." What happened? Really happened. Augustus stood, walked to the bookshelves, pulled out a folder, brought it back. Photos, crime scene photos. A car, crushed, wrapped around a tree. Blood on the airbags. We were driving back from the city, late, I-87 near Bear Mountain. Another car came up behind us. Black SUV, no plates. Started pushing us, ramming. I tried to speed up, but they were faster. He pointed to a photo. Tire marks. They clipped our rear quarter panel, sent us into a spin. We went off the road, 40 feet down, hit 3 trees. The car rolled. He closed the folder. She died in the ambulance. I woke up 3 days later in the hospital. The police called it an accident. Black ice. But there was no ice. It was September. 65 degrees. They covered it up. Senator Beaumont had friends everywhere. By the time I could speak, the narrative was set. Tragic accident. Nothing suspicious. But you knew. I knew, so I spent a year recovering. Another learning to investigate. 3 more gathering evidence. I know who was in that SUV. I know who gave the order. I know which shell company paid for it. I know everything except how to prove it in court. When he looked at me, that's what this is really about. Destroying the people who think they can kill with impunity. I understood then. This wasn't business. This was grief transformed into purpose. "I'm sorry," I said. "Don't be. Sorry is for accidents. This was murder." He picked up his book. The conversation was over. We read until midnight. Then Augustus stood. "We have a charity brunch tomorrow. Vanderbilt Foundation. Daschle will be there. We'll need to be convincing." How convincing? Hand-holding, smiles, small intimacies that make people believe we're falling in love. We've known each other less than 48 hours, which is why it needs to be subtle, just enough to plant the seed. He walked to the door, stopped. "For what it's worth, you're better at this than I expected." "At what?" "At being honest. It's rarer than you'd think." He left. I sat in the library for another hour, trying to make sense of a world where dancing with a stranger had led to this. Sunday morning, 11 a.m., The Mandarin Oriental Penthouse. 200 guests. I wore cream-colored Oscar de la Renta from the closet Augustus had filled. Hair and makeup done by people Mrs. Tanaka sent. Professional armor. Augustus met me at the car. He looked different in daylight. The silver hair caught the sun. "You look beautiful," he said. First compliment. I wasn't sure if he meant it. "You clean up okay yourself." He offered his arm. I took it. Felt the muscle underneath the fabric. The car ride took 20 minutes. He briefed me. "Dashiell will approach within 30 minutes. He can't help himself. Vivian will be with him. She'll be sweet, apologetic." "What do I do?" "Be yourself, smart, composed. Don't engage if he baits you. I'll handle that. And if he doesn't bait me, he will. His ego can't tolerate being upstaged." The car pulled up. Photographers waiting. Augustus got out first. Opened my door. Offered his hand. Cameras started clicking. We walked into the building. Elevator to the penthouse. Doors opened onto 200 people in expensive clothes and expensive smiles. Heads turned. Whispers started. "That's her. The one who danced with Hartford. I heard she's broke. I heard she's brilliant." Augustus kept his hand on the small of my back, guiding me through the crowd. "Mr. Hartford." A woman approached. 60s. Dripping diamonds. "How wonderful to see you, and you must be Miss Ashford." "Genevieve," I said. "Delightful. Augustus rarely attends these events. You must be quite special." She said it like a compliment. It felt like an assessment. We made our way through the crowd, shaking hands, making small talk. Augustus was good at this. He knew exactly how long to hold a handshake, what to say to make someone feel seen without revealing anything. 32 minutes and Dashiell found us. He looked good. He always looked good. Blonde hair perfectly styled, tan from ski weekends, smile perfected through boarding schools. He wore it now as he approached with Vivian. "Augustus," he said, warm, friendly. "Good to see you, and Genevieve. You look well." The false warmth made my skin crawl. "Dashiell," Augustus said. "Ice, congratulations on your engagement." "Thank you. Vivian, you remember Genevieve?" Vivian smiled. "Of course." "Genevieve, I hope there are no hard feelings. Dashiell and I, we didn't mean for things to happen this way. Like his public humiliation was an accident." I felt Augustus's hand tighten on my waist. Warning, support. "No hard feelings," I said, kept my voice level. "I hope you'll both be very happy." Dashiell's smile sharpened. "We will be. Though I have to say I was surprised to see you at the gala, even more surprised to see you dancing with Augustus. Life is full of surprises." "Indeed. How exactly did you two meet?" "It seemed so sudden." There it was, the bait. But Augustus spoke first. "We met through mutual friends, had coffee, discovered we had more in common than expected. Sometimes these things happen quickly when they're right." The emphasis on right, implying Dashiell and I had been wrong. Dashiell's jaw tightened. "How lovely," Vivian said. "A whirlwind romance." "Not a whirlwind," Augustus corrected. "Just honest. We're both too old for games." Another dig. Dashiell was 32, still playing games. "Well," Dashiell said, voice tighter, "I'm sure everyone is happy for you both. Though, Genevieve, I hope you understand that the situation with your father is resolved." Augustus interrupted. Firm. Final. "I've reviewed the case. The plagiarism charges were fabricated. Professor Ashford was brilliant and honest. Anyone who says otherwise is either misinformed or lying." The air changed. People nearby stopped talking. This was the confrontation they'd been waiting for. Dashiell's face flushed red. "That's quite an accusation." "It's a fact. I have documentation, evidence. I plan to publish it within the month." "You can't." "I can. I will. And anyone who tries to stop me will find themselves on the wrong end of a very public legal battle." Augustus smiled. Cold. Dangerous. "Now, if you'll excuse us, Genevieve." He guided me away, left Dashiell standing there speechless. We made it to the buffet table before I started shaking. "Breathe," Augustus murmured. "He's going to come after us." "I'm counting on it." "You just declared war." "No, I just fired the first shot in a war that's been going on for 5 years. He handed me a plate. "Eat something. We need to stay another 45 minutes. Then we can leave." "I don't know if I can." "Yes, you can. You just stood there while your ex tried to humiliate you and didn't flinch. You're stronger than you think." He was right. I had stood there, kept my composure. It should have felt like weakness. Instead, it felt like partnership. We filled our plates, found seats by the windows, ate in comfortable silence while around us people whispered, and Dashiell realized he'd made an enemy he couldn't afford. 47 minutes later, we left. In the car, Augustus took off his jacket, rolled up his sleeves. "That was exhausting," he said. "You looked completely calm." Practice, but I hate these things, the performance, the pretending. Then why go? Because reputation is built in rooms like that. People need to see us together. And because Dashiell needed to understand that you're under my protection now. He looked at me. "Are you okay?" "I think so. It's strange, having someone fight for me." "Get used to it. We're partners now. Your battles are mine." Partners. He kept using that word. The car headed north, back to the estate. Augustus pulled out his phone, checked something, smiled. "What?" "David sent the photos. We look good together." "Natural." He showed me. Photos from outside the Mandarin Oriental. Him helping me out of the car, his hand on my back, both of us smiling. "These will be in the society pages tomorrow. By next week, everyone will believe we're dating." And then we give them what they expect. He put the phone away, looked out the window. "Thank you," he said quietly. "For what?" "For being good at this, for not breaking when Dashiell tried, for being exactly who you are." Something warm bloomed in my chest. Dangerous. The beginning of feelings that had no place in a contract. I pushed it down. This was business, strategy. 6 months, nothing more. But as we drove back, I couldn't shake the feeling that I just crossed a line I could never uncross. 3 weeks became 4, 4 became 5. We fell into rhythms, morning coffee in the library. Augustus reading briefs while I worked through philosophical texts, afternoons preparing for events, evenings in the same room comfortable in silence. The physical distance began to erode, not dramatically, but in small ways. His hand lingering on my waist when we danced, my fingers brushing his when passing books. Touch that started as accident and became habit. The staff noticed. Mrs. Tanaka smiled more. David stopped monitoring me so closely. I didn't tell her that I felt it too. That waking up here had stopped feeling like captivity. That Augustus Hartford had become someone I looked forward to seeing. Dangerous thoughts. We had a contract. 6 months. This wasn't real, but it was starting to feel real. Week 6. Augustus announced the masquerade. Library, late evening, fire crackling. "I'm reviving the annual Hartford Masquerade," he said. I looked up. The what? Marguerite used to host it every November. 300 guests, masks, dancing. She said it let people be honest in ways they couldn't be face to face. He set down his papers. "I stopped after she died, but it's been 5 years, and I need them here, the Beaumonts, in my house, where I control everything." Understanding dawned. "You're setting a trap. I'm creating an opportunity. Dashiell will come. His father will come. Everyone will come because refusing would look weak. And when they're here surrounded by witnesses, they'll make mistakes." He stood, walked to the window. "I need you with me, every moment. The masquerade is 3 weeks away. Between now and then, Dashiell will escalate. He's already hired investigators. They've found nothing, but he's getting desperate." "Like what?" Augustus turned back. "Like trying to hurt you to get to me." The words hung heavy. "You think he'd actually?" "I know he would. He's his father's son. Warren Beaumont doesn't tolerate challenges." He crossed the room, sat across from me. "I won't let him hurt you, but I need you to be careful. No going anywhere alone. David's team will shadow you. If anything feels wrong, tell me immediately." "You're scaring me." "Good. Fear keeps you alert." He reached across the space, took my hand, first time he'd initiated touch outside an audience. "I'm sorry I brought you into this. If something happens, nothing's going to happen. We're careful, smart, and we have 3 weeks to prepare." 3 weeks, then we end this. The estate transformed overnight. Florists arrived with 10,000 white roses. Ice sculptors created swans and wolves. The ballroom closed since Marguerite died blazed with light. Mrs. Tanaka supervised with military precision, guest list, seating, menu. 300 invitations, she told me. Beaumont's included. Will they come? They have to. Refusing would admit fear. Men like Warren Beaumont never admit fear. My dress arrived on a Wednesday. Elisab. Midnight blue silk with silver embroidery, made to measure. The mask came with it. Silver filigree, shaped like a swan. I tried them on, looked in the mirror, barely recognized the woman staring back. A knock on the library door. "Come in?" Augustus entered, stopped, stared. You're. He didn't finish. Too much. No, perfect. The way he said it, not strategic, just honest. We should practice, he said. Dancing. We need to look like we've done this 1,000 times. He pulled out his phone, selected music. Tchaikovsky, Swan Lake. He extended his hand. I took it. We danced, not like strangers, but like partners who'd learned each other's rhythms. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Tell me about Marguerite, I said. The question surprised him. Why? Because everyone's going to ask. I should know the real story. He spun me, brought me back closer. She was chaos. I'm control. She was spontaneous. I'm calculated. She'd wake up at 3 a.m. and decide we needed to drive to the ocean. Opposites attract. Opposites challenge. She made me better. Made me human instead of a machine. And when she died, I became the machine again. Because machines don't grieve. The music swelled. He pulled me into an aggressive turn. But you brought chaos back. Quieter, but real. You ask questions I don't want to answer. You look at me like you can see through the walls. You make me remember what it felt like to be human. We stopped moving. The music continued, but we stood still. Augustus. This isn't real, he said, firm. We have a contract. This ends when 6 months end. Right. But neither of us moved, neither let go. His eyes dropped to my lips, just for a second. Then he stepped back. The spell broken. The masquerade is in 2 weeks. We should be ready. He left. The Plaza Hotel benefit, Thursday evening, 2 weeks before the masquerade. Charity auction for children's literacy. Augustus had warned me. He's going to make a move soon. He can't afford to wait. He'll try something public. What do I do? Stay close. Don't accept drinks from anyone except waiters I've vetted. Don't go anywhere alone. We arrived at 8, made our entrance, the usual whispers, but something felt different, sharper, more hostile. Dashiell found us within 20 minutes. He looked rough, thinner, dark circles under his eyes. Augustus. Genevieve. Cold, formal. Dashiell, Augustus replied, enjoying yourselves. Very much. Good, because I wanted to let you know we've hired new investigators. Very thorough. They're looking into everything. Your finances, your relationship, your father's death. He looked at me on that last part, deliberate cruelty. My father died of a heart attack. Did he die of shame after being exposed as a fraud? Augustus moved fast, one step forward, between Dashiell and me, protective. Careful, you're talking about a man who can't defend himself. That's cowardice. Truth isn't cowardice. Neither is this. Your father is being investigated by 3 federal agencies. Money laundering, securities fraud, tax evasion. By next month, Senator Warren Beaumont will be arrested. You'll be explaining to prosecutors exactly how much you knew. Dashiell went pale. You're lying. Ask your father? Augustus took my hand. Come on, let's get a drink. He led me away, left Dashiell shaking. We made it to the bar. Augustus ordered champagne, 2 glasses, handed one to me. Well done, you didn't react. I wanted to punch him. Save it for the masquerade. I raised the glass to my lips, took a sip. The taste was wrong immediately. Bitter, chemical. I looked at the glass, saw sediment at the bottom. My vision started to blur. Augustus. The world tilted. I felt his arms catch me before I hit the floor, heard him shouting. Then everything went black. I woke up in a medical suite, white walls, beeping machines, IV in my arm, Dr. Williams standing over me. Augustus sat beside the bed, still in his tuxedo, jacket off, silver hair disheveled. When he saw I was awake, something in his face broke. Thank God, he whispered. What happened? Rohypnol, large dose, in your champagne. Another 30 seconds and we'd have had a much bigger problem. Dr. Williams nodded. You're lucky, mister. Hartford noticed immediately. On hand, Augustus looked guilty. I've kept medical supplies since Marguerite, paranoid. But tonight it saved your life. The reality sank in. Someone tried to drug me. Who? We're reviewing footage, but we know it wasn't random. The waiter disappeared, hired through a temp agency, untraceable. Dashiell. Probably, or his father. Does it matter they tried to hurt you? His voice cracked, the control fracturing. I could see the rage, the fear, the guilt. I'm okay, you saved me. I almost didn't. I almost let you drink that. He stood, walked to the window, pressed his forehead against glass. His shoulders shook. Augustus Hartford was crying, my darling. I can't do this. I can't put you in danger. This was a mistake. I should end the contract, pay you out, send you somewhere safe. No. And I pulled the IV out, got out of bed, walked to him. No, we don't quit. Not now. You could have died, but I didn't. Because you were there. Because we're partners. I took his hand, made him turn around. They're scared. This proves it. They're terrified. So they're trying to break us, but we don't break. We finish this. Together. Something shifted in his eyes. The grief, the fear. All giving way to something raw. He cupped my face with both hands, looked at me like I was something precious. Genevieve, we finish this. At the masquerade, we end them. And then we figure out what this actually is, because it's not fake anymore. You know it. I know it. For a long moment, he didn't move, just held my face. Then he kissed me. Not gentle, but fierce, desperate, like a man who'd been holding back for weeks. His hands in my hair, my hands gripping his shirt. When we broke apart, he rested his forehead against mine. This complicates things, he whispered. Everything's already complicated. The masquerade, we still do it, but after we stop pretending this is just business. He pulled back, looked at me, really looked. Okay. Dr. Williams cleared her throat. I should mention you shouldn't be making life decisions for 12 hours after Rohypnol. We both laughed. Noted, I said, but I know what I'm saying. So do I, Augustus said. He kissed me again, softer, like a promise. And somewhere in that Plaza Hotel medical suite, we crossed the line we'd been dancing around since that first waltz. There was no going back. 7 days until the masquerade. 7 days to prepare. We stopped pretending, not publicly. The world still saw the careful performance. But privately, we let ourselves be honest. He told me about nightmares, waking up hearing metal screaming, how he'd built walls because walls were safer, how I'd climbed over them without him noticing. I told him about loneliness, being invisible so long I believed I deserved it, how Dashiell hadn't broken me, just confirmed my fears. You're exactly enough, Augustus said. Library, late night, fire burning low, brilliant and fierce and honest. Dashiell was threatened. I'm in awe. You're not supposed to be in awe of your fake fiancé. Good thing you're not fake anymore. He kissed me. We'd been doing that a lot. Kisses in the library, kisses in hallways, kisses that started as comfort and ended as promise. We hadn't slept together yet. Some boundary we both wanted to cross but weren't ready to. Like once we did, it would make everything irrevocable. After the masquerade, he said, after we finish this, we'll figure out what comes next. What if what comes next is just us, no revenge? Just two people building something real. I'd like that more than anything. Saturday. The masquerade was tomorrow. Augustus spent the day reviewing plans with David. Security positions, camera placements, every variable controlled. I spent it with Mrs. Tanaka. Final dress fitting, hair rehearsal. You're nervous, she observed, terrified. Of the Beaumonts, or what happens after, smart woman? Both, Mrs. Tanaka smiled. Mr. Hartford was dead for 5 years, walking, talking, but dead inside. You brought him back. Whatever happens tomorrow, you've already won. That night, Augustus found me on my balcony, looking at stars. Can't sleep. Too much in my head. Same, he stood beside me, shoulders touching. Are you scared? I asked. Yes. Of the Beaumonts. Of losing you. If something goes wrong tomorrow, nothing's going wrong. He took something from his pocket, small box, velvet. This wasn't part of the plan, but nothing about us has gone according to plan. He opened the box, inside a ring, platinum band with a sapphire, deep blue. It was Marguerite's. She would have wanted you to have it. Would have liked you? Augustus, I'm not proposing, not really. We're already engaged on paper. But this makes it real. If you want it to be real. I looked at the ring, at him, at the future we were building. Ask me properly, not because of contracts, but because you want to. He went down on one knee under the stars. Genevieve Ashford, will you marry me not in 6 months when the contract ends, but eventually? When this is over, will you take a chance on a broken man trying to be whole again? I pulled him to his feet, kissed him. Yes. He slid the ring onto my finger. It fit perfectly. We stood on that balcony holding each other. Tomorrow we'd face the Beaumonts. Tomorrow we'd risk everything. But tonight we had this. I love you, I said. First time. I love you too. God help us both. We went inside. To his room this time. A choice, a crossing. What happened next was private, sacred. But we came together like people who'd been alone too long and finally found home. Afterward, lying in his bed with his arm around me, I felt safer than I'd felt in years. Whatever happens tomorrow, Augustus said, know that these past 8 weeks have been the best of my life since Marguerite. You gave me a reason to live. You gave me the same thing. You saw me when I was invisible. That's everything. We fell asleep together, the night before the masquerade. The night before everything changed, ready to finish what we'd started, ready to bring down the Beaumonts, ready for whatever came next, together. Sunday arrived cold and clear, November in upstate New York. The kind of day where the sky looks like polished steel and your breath turns to mist. I woke in Augustus's bed, his arm still around me. For a moment, I let myself pretend this was normal, that we were just two people in love waking up on a Sunday morning. No revenge plot, no dangerous criminals, no masquerade ball that could end with someone dead. Then Augustus stirred, opened his eyes, those dark eyes that had seen too much. Morning, he murmured. Morning. He pulled me closer, kissed my forehead. Seconded thoughts. About last night, never. About tonight, I sat up, looked at him. The silver hair messy from sleep, the scar on his joy-catching morning light. This man who'd spent 5 years becoming a weapon and was just now remembering how to be human. No second thoughts, I said. We finish this. He smiled. That's my partner. The day passed in controlled chaos. Mrs. Tanaka orchestrated everything. Florists making final adjustments. Caterers arriving with trucks. Musicians setting up in the ballroom. Ice sculptures being positioned. The estate transforming from fortress to fairy tale. David Park ran security checks. Cameras, exits, contingencies. He'd embedded his team among the staff. Former military, former intelligence. People who knew how to look like waiters while watching for threats. The Black Ledger is in position, David told Augustus. Vault in the North Tower, exactly where you said. Dashiell's inside man confirmed he knows the location. Inside man, I asked. Augustus nodded. One of Dashiell's own security team. We've been paying him for 3 months. He's been feeding Dashiell information about the estate, including the vault location. And the ledger is fake, every page, but it looks real enough that Dashiell won't be able to resist. He'll try to steal it tonight. Photograph the pages, think he's getting evidence against me. But really, he's getting evidence against himself. Exactly. Every page is metadata tagged. The moment he photographs it, we'll have proof he broke into my home, accessed a secure vault, and attempted to steal proprietary documents. That's multiple felonies. And his father, Augustus's smile was cold. Senator Beaumont will be here too. We've arranged for some very interesting people to attend. 3 FBI agents embedded as guests, an assistant U.S. attorney, a federal judge I used to work with, all witnesses to whatever the Beaumonts do tonight. I understood then. This wasn't just a trap for Dashiell. This was a public execution. Legal, clean, irreversible. What do you need me to do? Stay visible. Stay with me. Be the perfect hostess. And if anything feels wrong, anything at all, you find me immediately. He took my hands. I mean it, Genevieve. These people are dangerous. They've already tried to hurt you once. I won't give them another chance. I'll be careful. Promise me. I promise. At 6 p.m., I began getting ready. The dress, the mask, hair swept up, makeup that made me look like someone else, someone who belonged in ballrooms and society pages. Mrs. Tanaka helped with the final touches. You look like a dream, she said. I feel like I'm going into battle. Same thing sometimes. 7 p.m. guests started arriving. I stood with Augustus at the entrance, greeting people, shaking hands, playing the gracious hosts. He wore black. I wore midnight blue. We matched. We glowed. 300 people filed through. Old money. New money. Politicians. Businessmen. Society matriarchs. All wearing masks that ranged from simple to elaborate. At 7:45, the Beaumonts arrived. Warren Beaumont, 65, silver hair like Augustus but coarser, harder, the face of a man who'd spent decades believing rules didn't apply to him. He wore a black mask, simple, elegant, the mask of someone who didn't need to try. Beside him, Dashiell, red devil mask, 2 on the nose. He looked thin, drawn, desperate. Senator Beaumont, Augustus said, cordial, professional. Thank you for coming. Hartford, quite the event. I'm impressed you managed to pull this together. My late wife loved the masquerade. I thought it was time to honor her memory. Admirable. And this must be Miss Ashford. Warren's eyes swept over me, assessing, calculating. I felt like a horse being evaluated for purchase. Genevieve, I said, extended my hand. He took it. His grip was firm, possessive, held a fraction too long. Charming, I can see why my son was so taken with you. Before you upgraded, of course. The insult was elegant, subtle, the kind you couldn't call out without looking petty. Augustus's hand found the small of my back, protective. If you'll excuse us, he said, we should greet the other guests. We moved away. I felt Warren's eyes following us. He's worse than I thought, I whispered. He's exactly what I expected, arrogant, certain he's untouchable. That's what makes tonight pretty. 8 p.m., the masquerade began in earnest. The ballroom blazed with light, 10,000 candles, crystal chandeliers. The orchestra played Strauss, Blue Danube, our song. Augustus led me to the center of the floor. The crowd parted. We danced. And God, we danced. Not like at the Met Gala, not like strangers performing, but like partners, like lovers, like two people who'd found each other in the wreckage of their lives and built something beautiful. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I love you, he whispered against my ear. I love you too. Whatever happens tonight, we'll face it together. The music swelled. He spun me. My dress flared like a midnight storm. When he pulled me back, I was breathless. Around us, 300 masked faces watched, some with curiosity, some with envy. The Beaumonts with barely concealed rage. The dance ended. Applause rippled through the ballroom. Augustus bowed. I curtsied. We moved to the edge of the floor. Now we wait, he murmured. 9 p.m., Dashiell made his move. David's voice came through Augustus's earpiece. Subtle, invisible. Target is moving, heading toward East Corridor. Augustus squeezed my hand. Stay here, mingle, act normal. Be careful, always. He disappeared into the crowd. I stood alone in my midnight blue gown surrounded by masked strangers and pretended everything was fine. Mrs. Tanaka appeared at my elbow. Come, let me introduce you to some people. She guided me through the crowd, introducing me to society matriarchs, philanthropists, people whose names I recognized from charity galas and museum boards. All of them curious about the woman who'd captured Augustus Hartford. I played my part, smiled, made small talk, all while my heart hammered and I wondered what was happening in the North Tower. In the North Tower, Dashiell Beaumont was breaking into the vault. He'd planned this for weeks, bribed a security guard, memorized the vault code, studied the layout. This was his chance to destroy Augustus Hartford, to find evidence of the illegal surveillance, the blackmail, the conspiracy that had to exist because no one could be that clean. The vault door opened. Inside on a pedestal sat the black ledger. Worn leather, thick, filled with documents. Dashiell pulled out his phone, started photographing pages, page after page of evidence, financial records, surveillance logs, proof of crimes that would bury Augustus Hartford forever. What Dashiell didn't know, every page was fake, every document was bait, and every photo he took was being transmitted in real time to David Park's command center. What Dashiell didn't know, 30 FBI agents surrounded the estate, waiting for his call to raid, and they'd be raiding the wrong house. Beaumont properties across the city were being seized simultaneously, bank accounts frozen, shell companies exposed. What Dashiell didn't know, his father was about to be arrested in the ballroom, in front of 300 witnesses, and there was nothing he could do to stop it. 9:45 p.m., the ballroom. I was talking to a philanthropist about educational reform when the music stopped. Everyone looked up, confused. Masquerades didn't just stop mid-song. Augustus stood on the small stage where the orchestra had been playing. No mask now, just his face. Silver hair, dark eyes. The face of a man who'd waited 5 years for this moment. Ladies and gentlemen, he said, his voice carried across the silent ballroom. Thank you for joining us tonight, for celebrating what my late wife loved, for honoring her memory with your presence. Murmurs of appreciation. People smiled. They thought this was a toast. But I have to confess something, Augustus continued. I didn't revive the masquerade just to honor Marguerite. I revived it to honor truth. To create a space where masks come off and we see each other clearly. The atmosphere shifted. People looked at each other, uncertain now. 5 years ago, my wife was murdered. Not in an accident, murdered. By people who thought they were above the law. People who used their money and connections to cover up their crimes. To silence anyone who threatened to expose them. Warren Beaumont started moving toward the exit. But FBI agents blocked the doors. No mask now. Badges visible. Senator Warren Beaumont, Augustus said, you've spent 20 years laundering money for a criminal syndicate known as the Consortium. You've used your position in the Senate to protect criminals, to obstruct justice, to murder anyone who got too close to the truth. Warren's face went purple. This is outrageous. I'll have your badge. I don't have a badge. I resigned from the bench 5 years ago. But they do. 3 FBI agents stepped forward. Senator Beaumont, you're under arrest for money laundering, obstruction of justice, conspiracy to commit murder, and violations of the RICO Act. You have the right to remain silent. The ballroom erupted. Gasps, shouts. 300 masked faces watching as one of the most powerful men in New York was handcuffed in a ballroom. I stood frozen. This was really happening. Years of planning, months of investigation, 8 weeks of our fake relationship, all leading to this moment. Augustus's eyes found mine across the ballroom. Are you okay? I nodded. I'm okay. 10 p.m. North Tower. Daschle finished photographing the last page. Put the ledger back. Close the vault. Turned to leave. David Park stood in the doorway with 6 agents. Daschle Beaumont, you're under arrest for breaking and entering attempted theft of proprietary documents, conspiracy to commit assault. What I didn't, this is entrapment. Actually, it's evidence collection. Every photo you just took has been uploaded to our servers, time-stamped, geotagged, proof that you illegally accessed a private vault. David smiled. It wasn't kind. Your father's being arrested in the ballroom right now. Your family's bank accounts are frozen. Your properties are being seized. The consortium is done. You're done, and you walked right into it. Daschle sank to his knees. Please, I'll testify against everyone. My father, the consortium, everyone. Just please. Save it for your lawyer. They hauled him away. 11 p.m., the ballroom had cleared. Most guests fled the moment the handcuffs came out. Too scandalized, too shocked, not wanting to be associated with whatever this was. A few remained, the FBI agents, the assistant U.S. attorney, the judge, people who needed to document what happened. I found Augustus in the library, standing by the window, looking out at the Hudson. It's over, I said. It's over. I walked to him, wrapped my arms around him from behind, felt him relax into my touch. Marguerite would be proud, I said. I hope so. I hope she'd understand why I spent 5 years on this. Why I became something less than human to make this happen. You're not less than human. You're exactly human. Grief and love and rage and hope all tangled together. He turned in my arms, looked down at me. I couldn't have done this without you. The real you, not the performance. You gave me a reason to be more than revenge. We gave each other that. He kissed me, soft, sweet. The kiss of 2 people who'd survived something and come out the other side together. What happens now? I asked. Now we testify. Daschle's offered to cooperate. He'll turn on everyone. His father, the consortium, all of it. The trial will take months, maybe a year. And us. Us. He smiled. We already decided that. Remember last night on the balcony? You asked me to marry you. I did. Eventually. Eventually. He cupped my face. But eventually can start whenever we want. Could be 6 months. Could be 6 days. Could be... Tomorrow, I said. Let's get married tomorrow. He laughed, surprised, delighted. Tomorrow? Why wait? We've already faced the worst. Everything after this is just details. Details like a wedding ceremony, guest's address. Details we can figure out together because that's what partners do. He kissed me again, deeper this time. Tomorrow then, Mrs. Tanaka will lose her mind trying to plan a wedding in 12 hours. Mrs. Tanaka will love it, and she did. Monday afternoon, Hartford Estate Chapel. Mrs. Tanaka had indeed lost her mind, but in the best possible way. 12 hours to plan a wedding, and she'd created something perfect. The chapel was small, stone walls, stained glass windows, built by Augustus's grandfather 50 years ago and barely used since. Now it glowed with afternoon light. White roses everywhere. Candles. Simple. Beautiful. 50 guests, not the society crowd from the masquerade, just people who mattered. Mrs. Tanaka, David Park, Dr. Williams, Augustus's former colleagues from the bench, My father's old friends from the university, people who knew us, loved us, wanted us to be happy. I wore a dress Mrs. Tanaka found somewhere. Ivory silk, simple lines. A dress Marguerite had worn to some event years ago. Augustus had said yes immediately when Mrs. Tanaka suggested it. She'd want you to have it, he'd said. Want you to wear it. She'd want me to be happy. Now I stood in a small room off the chapel, looking at myself in a mirror, wearing a dead woman's dress, about to marry a man I'd known for 8 weeks. It should have felt wrong, rushed, insane. Instead, it felt like the only sane thing I'd done in years. A knock on the door. Come in. Mrs. Tanaka entered. She wore traditional Japanese dress, elegant, beautiful, tears in her eyes. You look perfect, she said. Thank you for everything, for making this possible. I didn't make it possible. You two did. I just helped with flowers. She handed me a bouquet, white roses. Simple. Classic. Are you ready? Yes. No second thoughts. None. Good, because he's out there pacing and looking like he might pass out. Someone needs to put him out of his misery. I laughed. The idea of Augustus Hartford, the man who'd faced down senators and criminals, be without flinching nervous about a wedding, was absurd and perfect. Let's not keep him waiting then. The chapel doors opened. The guests stood, turned to look at me, but I only saw Augustus. He stood at the altar wearing a dark suit. No tuxedo, just simple, elegant. His silver hair caught the light through stained glass. His dark eyes found mine and smiled, not the careful smile he showed the world, not the dangerous smile he used on enemies, but a real smile, open, vulnerable, happy. I walked down the aisle. No one to give me away. I didn't need that. I was giving myself, making a choice, claiming my own future. When I reached the altar, Augustus took my hands. Hi, he whispered. Hi. The judge who'd agreed to officiate, one of Augustus's old colleagues, cleared his throat. Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to witness the union of Augustus Hartford and Genevieve Ashford, to celebrate their love, to support their commitment to each other. He went through the traditional words, the ones about love and honor and cherishing, words that had been said at millions of weddings but somehow felt new when applied to us. Augustus, do you take Genevieve to be your lawfully wedded wife, to have and to hold from this day forward, for better or worse, for richer or poorer, in sickness and in health, until death do you part? I do, Augustus said, firm, clear, no hesitation. Genevieve, do you take Augustus to be your lawfully wedded husband, to have and to hold from this day forward, for better or worse, for richer or poorer, in sickness and in health, until death do you part? I do. The rings. David Park stepped forward. Best man by default. He handed Augustus a platinum band. Simple, elegant. Augustus slid it onto my finger. It settled next to Marguerite's sapphire, the past and future together. Then I took the ring David offered me, slid it onto Augustus's finger. His first wedding ring. He'd never worn one with Marguerite, too afraid it would interfere with his work. But he wore mine, claimed it, claimed me. By the power vested in me by the state of New York, I now pronounce you husband and wife. Augustus, you may kiss your bride. He cupped my face, both hands, gentle, reverent. I love you, he whispered. I love you too. He kissed me. The chapel erupted in applause, cheers, joy. We'd done it, made it real, made it official. We were married. The reception was in the ballroom, the same ballroom where Warren Beaumont had been arrested 24 hours earlier. Mrs. Tanaka had transformed it again. All evidence of last night's drama removed. Now it was just light and flowers and music and celebration. We danced our first dance as husband and wife. Blue Danube. Again. Always. We have to stop dancing to this song, I said. People will think we're stuck in a loop. I like loops, especially this one. He spun me. I laughed. Mrs. Hartford, he said, testing the name. I'm keeping Ashford professionally. Genevieve Ashford Hartford. Hyphenated, very modern, very equal partnership. I wouldn't have it any other way. The music ended. We moved to our table, cut the cake, toasted with champagne, all the traditional wedding things. But what I remember most is the quiet moments. Augustus's hand finding mine under the table. The way he'd lean close to whisper observations about guests. The way we moved together like we'd been doing this for years instead of hours. At 10 p.m. we slipped away. Let the party continue without us. Went upstairs to his room. Our room now. What happened on our wedding night is private. But I'll say this. We came together with joy. Not desperation, not grief, but pure joy. The kind you only get when you've survived hell and found someone who survived it with you. Afterward, lying in bed with his arm around me and the ring on my finger catching moonlight, I felt complete. Like all the broken pieces of my life had finally arranged themselves into something whole. "What are you thinking?" Augustus asked. "That I asked you to dance to make my ex jealous and ended up here." "Regrets, Bertie? None. Utah. Only that I didn't ask you to dance first. Could have saved us both some time." I laughed. The great Augustus Hartford, afraid to ask a woman to dance. Terrified. I was terrified you'd say no. I was terrified you'd say yes. And now I'm terrified of how much I love you, how much I need you, how completely you've become part of my life in 8 weeks. He kissed my forehead. Good, because I'm terrified too, but I think that's how you know it's real. Real things are always a little terrifying. Very philosophical for a lawyer. I married a philosopher. It's rubbing off. We fell asleep like that, tangled together, married, partners, in love. Tomorrow would bring complications, trials, testimony, the slow grinding wheels of justice. But tonight we had this, each other. And that was enough. The courthouse steps, federal building, Manhattan. Augustus and I stood with the assistant U.S. attorney. Behind us a wall of reporters, cameras, microphones. Inside, Warren Beaumont had just been sentenced. 25 years, federal prison, no parole. Daschle had testified against his father, turned state's witness. He'd get 10 years. Probably serve 7 with good behavior. The consortium was dismantled. 47 arrests across 6 states. Money laundering networks exposed. Political corruption revealed. It was the biggest case of its kind in a decade. And it started with a dance. "Mr. Hartford," a reporter called, "how does it feel to finally get justice for your wife?" Augustus squeezed my hand. "It feels like closing a chapter, not forgetting, never forgetting, but being able to move forward." Mrs. Hartford, another reporter, "Your father's name has been officially cleared by Columbia University. They're renaming the philosophy department after him. How does that feel?" My father's name on a building. Students learning in Harrison Ashford Hall. "It feels like truth won," I said. Finally. More questions, more cameras, but Augustus guided me away. Down the steps, into the waiting car. We drove north, away from the city, away from the courts and reporters and aftermath. Home. Hartford Estate had changed in a year. Still a fortress, but softer now, warmer. We'd opened parts of it. The library was now a research center. Scholars came to study, to work, to use the collection Augustus's grandfather built. The ballroom hosted charity events, fundraisers, galas that actually help people instead of just making rich people feel good about themselves. And the East Wing, my wing, had been converted into offices for the Ashford Hartford Foundation, our joint project, helping wrongfully accused families, providing legal resources, fighting the kind of injustice that had destroyed my father. We pulled up to the house. Mrs. Tanaka waited at the door, smiling. "Welcome home. Congratulations on the verdict." "Thank you, Mrs. Tanaka. There's someone here to see you in the library." Augustus and I exchanged glances. We weren't expecting visitors. We walked through the house, through hallways that no longer felt like a fortress. Just home. The library door was open, and sitting in my reading chair holding a baby was Dr. Williams. "Thought you might want to meet your daughter," she said. My heart stopped. We'd been trying for 6 months. Doctor said it might not happen. Augustus was 43. I was 29. Not impossible, but not guaranteed. We'd accepted it might just be the two of us. But Dr. Williams smiled, held out the bundle. "She's healthy, perfect, about 6 hours old. Mother was 15. Couldn't keep her. But she knew about your foundation. Asked if you might want to adopt." I crossed the room on shaking legs, took the baby, looked down at a tiny face, scrunched, red, perfect. "Hi," I whispered. The baby opened her eyes, dark eyes, like Augustus's. He stood beside me, looking down, and I saw tears streaming down his face. "We don't have to decide now," Dr. Williams said, "but she needs a family." And I thought, "Yes," Augustus said, "yes, we'll take her." "You're sure you haven't even—" "I'm sure." Genevieve. I looked at him, at this man who'd lost everything and built it back, at this man who'd given me a home when I had nothing. "Yes, we'll take her." Dr. Williams smiled. I'll start the paperwork. You two get acquainted. She left us alone with this tiny human who'd just become our daughter. What do we name her? I asked. Augustus touched the baby's hand. She gripped his finger with tiny fist. Marguerite, he said. After my wife, and Harrison for a middle name. After your father, Marguerite Harrison Hartford. Maggie for short. Maggie. He tested it, smiled. Hi, Maggie. I'm your Dem. This is your mom. We have no idea what we're doing, but we're going to love you fiercely. The baby Maggie yawned, and just like that, we were a family. The garden at Hartford Estate, late afternoon, September. Maggie was 5 now, running through the roses with her little brother trailing behind. Harrison, we called him. Harry was 3, also adopted. A boy we'd found through the foundation. Parents killed in a car accident. No other family. He was ours now. They both were. Augustus and I sat on the patio, watching them play. His hand in mine. Gray at his temples now, more lines around his eyes. 48, but he'd never looked more alive. Tell me again, Maggie called, about how you met Daddy. It was her favorite story. We'd told it 100 times, but she never got tired of it. I asked him to dance, I called back, because Uncle Dashiell was being mean. Because I needed help, and your daddy said yes. And then you got married. Eventually, after an adventure. Maggie ran over, climbed into Augustus's lap. Tell me about the adventure. Harry climbed into mine. With the bad guys. Augustus and I exchanged glances. How much do you tell a 5-year-old? There were bad people, Augustus said carefully. People who'd hurt others. Your mom and I worked together to stop them, to make sure they couldn't hurt anyone else. And you won? Maggie asked. We won. Because you're partners, Harry said, pronouncing the word carefully. That's right, partners, equals. That's the most important thing. When you find someone who makes you stronger, who you trust completely, that's partnership. Maggie snuggled into Augustus's chest. I want a partner when I grow up. You will. Someone who sees you for exactly who you are, who loves all the parts, even the complicated ones. Like Mommy loves you. Exactly like Mommy loves me. I felt my throat tighten. 5 years. We'd been married 5 years. And every day I fell more in love with this man. This broken, brilliant, fierce man who'd given me everything. Mrs. Tanaka appeared with lemonade. She was 70 now, talking about retirement. But we'd convinced her to stay. Dinner in an hour, she said. Family dinner. Professor Chen is joining us. David Park had married, a linguistics professor from Columbia. They had a daughter Maggie's age. Our families had dinner together once a week. Family, that's what we built. Not just Augustus and me, but a network of people we loved, who loved us back. Come on, munchkins, Mrs. Tanaka said. Let's get you cleaned up. She herded the kids inside, left Augustus and me alone. He pulled me closer, kissed my temple. Happy? He asked. Ridiculously happy. Good. Me too. We sat in comfortable silence, watching the sun set over the Hudson. The same view we'd had 5 years ago when this all started. Do you ever think about it? I asked. That night at the Met, what if I hadn't asked you to dance? Every day, and every day, I'm grateful you were brave enough to ask. You would have said no if I wasn't desperate. I would have said yes anyway. I'd been watching you all night, this woman standing alone, looking like she belonged to anywhere but there. I wanted to talk to you, but I didn't know how. So my desperation was convenient. Your courage was inspiring. He turned me to face him. Genevieve Ashford Hartford. You are the best decision I ever made. The best choice. The best partner. Every day with you is better than I deserve. You deserve everything. I have everything. You, Maggie, Harry, this life, this family. 5 years ago, I was dead inside. Now I'm more alive than I've ever been. That's all you. It's all us. Us, he agreed. And there in the garden of the fortress that had become a home we kissed. Like we had at the Met Gala. Like we had at our wedding. Like we did every day. Partners. Equals. In love. The Columbia University Philosophy Department. Harrison Ashford Hall. Dedication ceremony. I stood at the podium, looking out at 300 faces. Students, faculty, my father's old colleagues. People who come to see his name immortalized in stone. Maggie was 15 now, sitting in the front row with Harry 12, both wearing their best clothes, both smiling at me. Augustus sat beside them, 53 now, silver hair gone completely white, Still handsome, still mine. My father believed that truth matters more than comfort. I said, that we have an obligation to pursue knowledge even when it's difficult, even when it costs us. He paid for that belief with his career, his reputation, his life. I looked at the portrait they'd hung. My father, young, hopeful, before everything fell apart. But he was right. Truth does matter. Justice does matter. And when we fight for those things, when we refuse to accept easy lies, we honor everyone who came before us, everyone who sacrificed for truth. I saw Augustus nod. He understood. He'd made the same sacrifice. Spent 5 years pursuing justice. Lost 5 years to grief and rage, but found his way back. Found us. This building will bear my father's name. Students will learn here. Will debate philosophy and ethics and truth. And every one of them will know that Professor Harrison Ashford fought for intellectual honesty, for integrity, for the belief that knowledge can make us better. Applause, tears, my father's old colleagues standing, honoring him. Finally, after the ceremony, we walked across campus, our kids running ahead, Augustus's hand in mine. He'd be proud, Augustus said, of the building, of you, of what you've built, the foundation, the work you do, the lives you've changed. We've changed. Together. Together, he agreed. We stopped at the library, the same library where my father used to take me, where he'd taught me to love books, to love ideas. Mom, Maggie called, can we go in? I want to show Harry where Grandpa Harrison used to work. Grandpa Harrison. She'd never met him, but we told her stories. Made him real. Made him part of our family. Of course. We spent an hour in the library, showing the kids the philosophy section, the rare books, the quiet corners where scholars sat and thought and wrote. This was my father's legacy. Not the scandal, not the disgrace, but the love of knowledge. The belief that ideas matter. And it was our legacy too. Augustus and me. The family we'd built, the children we'd raised, the truth we'd fought for. Hartford Estate, our bedroom. The same room where we'd spent our wedding night. Augustus sat in bed reading, glasses perched on his nose, gray sweats and a Columbia t-shirt. So different from the man in the Tom Ford tuxedo who'd danced with me at the Met, but still him, still Augustus. I came out of the bathroom, slid into bed beside him. Good day, I said. The best. Your speech was perfect. You wrote half of it. I edited. You wrote it. Partner, I said. Equal, he replied. It was our ritual. Had been for 10 years, reminding each other what we were. He set down his book, took off his glasses, turned to me. I love you, he said. I love you too. 15 years this month, since the Met Gala. 15 years since I asked you to dance. Best question anyone's ever asked me. He pulled me close, and we lay there. 53 and 39, married 10 years, together 15. Not young anymore, not perfect, but real. And that was better than any fairy tale. The final epilogue, the one I'm writing from memory, from the future I hope we have. I'm 49, Augustus is 63, Maggie is 25, a lawyer, following in her father's footsteps. Harry is 22, teaching philosophy, following in mine. They've both made us proud. Both found partners, both building their own lives, and we're still here. Still at Hartford Estate. Still partners. Augustus's hair is snow white now. He moves slower. A lifetime of tension and trauma catching up. But his mind is sharp, his eyes still dark, still kind. We're grandparents now. Maggie has 2 daughters. Harry has a son. They come visit every summer. Fill the house with noise and chaos and joy. The foundation still operates. Younger lawyers running it now. But we consult. We guide. We do what we can. And every year on the anniversary of the Met Gala, we dance. Blue Danube, in the ballroom. Just the 2 of us. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Slower now, but still together. Do you remember I asked what you said after the first dance? I trust we'll be seeing much more of each other, he quotes. Were you planning this even then? I was planning not to let you disappear. The rest just evolved. No regrets. Only that we didn't have more time, that we were both so damaged it took us years to heal. We healed together. That's what matters. Together, he agrees. The music ends. We stop moving, but we don't let go. Thank you, Augustus says, for asking me to dance, for being brave, for choosing me. Thank you for saying yes, for protecting me, for loving me. Always, always. And they're into the ballroom where we've danced 1,000 times, where Warren Beaumont was arrested, where our children learned to waltz, we hold each other. Two people who started as strangers, became partners, became lovers, became family. Two people who learned that sometimes the most dangerous thing you can do is trust, is hope, is let yourself be vulnerable. Two people who learned that love isn't about perfection. It's about choosing each other every day, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. My name is Genevieve Ashford Hartford. 20 years ago, I asked a stranger to dance. He said yes, and that yes changed everything. This is our story, our legacy, and I wouldn't change a single step of the waltz.